who in the playoff crucible will survive and which rotation players will turn to ash in the playoff crucible? This is always a fun one. John, who in the playoff crucible will survive and which rotation players will turn to ash in the playoff crucible?
Jonathan Kuminga?
Well, I think he's not just ash, he's been, like, blown out of the crucible as ashes by Steve Kerr already. No, I think they're gonna need to go to him because this is gonna be a hard series, and there are actually other guys I think, who may end up having a problem. Gary Payton II or Quentin Post might just get beat up too much by Steven Adams,
Mhm.
and, because like, that's another interesting thing, right? Post takes Kuminga's spot too. It's Post, Moses Moody, obviously Guy Santos, who
Yeah.
I think, he may actually be able to exist okay in this series because Houston doesn't have like a lot of isolation guys that are going to go right at him, and he at least hustles and can give him some rebounding and stuff. And yeah, and Moses Moody's the other guy who's taking those minutes. Uh, but I think Kaminga, like, they just are going to need someone who can run and finish the rim. He's traditionally played pretty well against Houston. He could take advantage maybe of the Rockets not having like awesome rim protecting centers. Here's one for you that I
Mm.
you're not going to want to hear. Mike
Mhm.
Conley. The Lakers,
Yeah.
yeah, the Lakers are going to go at him every time, try to get the switch with Luca, and basically whenever he gets on LeBron. I mean, he's gonna have to guard probably Austin Reeves at the start. That's one of the things that makes the Lakers so difficult. Is do you have three perimeter defenders who can
Mhm.
deal with Reeves, LeBron, and Luca? So Conley probably has to start on Reeves. Reeves can go through smaller guys, get fouls, particularly if he catches the ball in a closeout situation. And so I think they may just end up having to go DiVincenzo more,
Yeah.
in that series, and
Yeah. I
just to
think
like, not have any guys that you can just go right at is gonna be really important.
yeah, Mike either ends up as a token starter in that series or they make an adjustment after like game 2 or something and switch it so that Mike is playing most of his minutes against Laker bench units and can, play against Jordan Goodwin and guys like that.
Now, I do think he is important because the way that the Lakers are gonna play is they're gonna really load up. They're gonna force Minnesota to beat them over the top. They're probably gonna double team. They're gonna front in the post. They're gonna take the ball out of guys' hands. And Mike, as a spot up shooter, he's maybe not as good as DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo, if he can take some really deep threes, can
Yeah.
cause problems for the Lakers. But Conley moves the ball really well, and that's the biggest thing that Minnesota struggles with. And so you're going to need to beat this Laker team with the pass to some degree. I don't know that Minnesota has the best personnel to do that. So he has an important offensive role, but I think defensively it could get difficult. Although DiVincenzo, he's kind of overrated, I think, on defense. Like that, you can go at him in the post. He fouls some. He gambles a lot. So I don't know if he's a panacea for them either. Anyone else that popped out to you of rotation players that might end up, on the
Yeah,
vine here?
Corey Joseph. I think Orlando's just going to end up not being able to score and have to play Cole
Yeah,
Anthony
they
the
just
whole game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after Cole played so well last night. Um, Russell Westbrook.
Yeah. Well,
Ty
that
Lue coaching revenge game. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, this is when coaches, I mean, if you talk to coaches in private, I know you have, John, just the way that they will shit on their own players that they don't like, and you know that they are just absolutely licking their chops to play that guy and take advantage of all the weaknesses that opposing coaches exploited about that guy when they were on their team.
Right.
And I'm guessing Ty Lue will be quite eager to do that to Russell Westbrook.
Yeah. Yeah, this could be savage, and we may see. I mean, we'll see if Jalen Pickett ends up just taking those minutes.
Speaking of the Lakers series. Jordan Goodwin, Dalton Connect, Jared Vanderbilt, Jackson Hayes. Connect has been kind of on the fringes of things. They may end up needing him to shoot, but
Hmm.
Vanderbilt and Goodwin has made a few shots. He's also worked as like a role man, working with Luca sometimes. Uh, but anytime one of those guys is on the floor, Minnesota's gonna just either help off of them, stash their worst guy on them, and I think the Lakers, their absolute best lineup, right? Rui, DFS, LeBron, Luca, Reeves, that can probably
Yeah.
hang. But I think that those other guys, JJ Redick's going to be wishing he had a little bit more. Gabe Vincent at least gives him 6 the way he's been shooting the ball. Although whether Gabe Vincent can guard Anthony Edwards would be a very interesting question for me. And that's
Yeah.
that's going to be fascinating. Like
I
I'm
think Vincent.
very worried about that soft underbelly of the Lakers.
Yeah, I think Vincent takes him to like 5.2. But yeah, I agree with your general point. I mean, once they get into those second groups, like how many minutes can Reddick play these guys each night? And when you get late in the
And that's where
series
the advantage
again,
of
yeah,
the advantage early for the Lakers is, go ahead and play LeBron 43 minutes. Also, like if Luka has to play that many minutes, like what's he going to look like on defense? Is he? And I think Minnesota is going to try to really tire him out on defense too. Like we're
yeah,
definitely going to have a couple of games in this series where the storyline is, man, Luka was just awful on defense, and that's why they lost.
hmm.
Any others that come to mind for you?
I, you see, I could say like half of Milwaukee's team, but they have to play somebody. Like I just don't know. Like I just don't know where they if they don't have Lillard, like some of these rotation decisions are just like what like I don't know, what do you even do?
Yeah, that's right. Well, remember the Milwaukee depth that you were shitting on so much, and now they've won 8 straight. Those guys look pretty good. But remember their superstar that I was shitting on in top 10 players. He's looked pretty
Yeah.
good in the last 8 games too.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I do think like, obviously they're better with Lillard. I think in a playoff setting you can load up a little bit more on Giannis, and it's just too large of a burden for him. But I do think there's a little bit of Ewing theory. Like Lillard is just so bad on defense that he
Hmm.
just kind of takes the air out of your sails on that end. I mean, we didn't mention Giannis for star who has the easiest matchup. I think he's. I mean, I guess they're going to put Turner on him some, or they try Siakam. He's a little bit too small. Like Giannis can kind of go through him. They don't have any threes that could really guard him either.
Yeah.
So I expect him to have a monster series.
Hmm.
Going back to the rotation players, I think that JB Bickerstaff will be going more with Isaiah Stewart than Jalen Duren as that series goes on. I think that Jalen Duren trying to play pick and roll defense against Jalen Brunson and also having to guard Towns as well is going to just be too difficult. And I think Stewart can even maybe do some switching in the late clock. He's got the mobility to get out on Towns if needed, because I don't think necessarily they're going to go with the put the center on a wing approach. Like I don't know that they really have the personnel to do that. I mean,
Hmm.
maybe because I don't think you want like Tobias Harris trying to guard Carl Anthony Towns and then switching on to Brunson either. Like the whole point of doing that is so you can switch. You could go Asar, but then who's going to be just the main matchup on Brunson? They don't have anybody else to do that in the starting lineup, I would say either. And particularly now when they bring in Malik Beasley. So
Yeah.
I think they're just going to need more versatility and more pick and roll defensive craft than Duren can provide.
That's an interesting one because Duran to me has been really good this year,
Yeah.
but in this
He is better. He
again,
is better than Stewart on offense, though, which is maybe their bigger problem will be just that they can't score. That might be their
but
bigger.
the playoffs get so specific this way, you know.
Yeah, it
Uh,
does.
Ron Holland is a guy I think we might not see much of, even though I liked
Yeah,
how he played late in the year. I just don't know with Asar being back in the lineup, with Detroit needing to manufacture as many points as they can. I mean, I guess they might have Ivy back too. Am I reading that right?
That
So
that would shock me. There's
okay,
no. I mean, maybe like if they're down, I don't think so. Like they number one, if they're down, they wouldn't risk him. Like he's got a
yeah,
great future. He's extension eligible. Like for him to have not played at all, coming back from a broken leg, I mean that's tough. Like if he had been able to play a couple of games here beforehand, Paul George style, okay. But yeah, that would maybe it might be the type of thing where they give him a few minutes or something. But I counting on him, I think would be he's not going to enter into my analysis too much. I would say. Pacers backup center Thomas Bryant. Don't know about that one, particularly if Lillard becomes available. They just go Toppin and Siakam and just try to run the Bucks out of the gym.
yeah. I think you have to do that, especially because like you're not going to put Thomas Bryant on Giannis.
Yeah, I mean, I think they probably, even if he's not guarding Giannis, they probably need to match up Turner's minutes with Giannis.
Actually, this fits into your next question, so go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, the deep rotation players who could emerge.
We might see some Jarris Walker.